Welcome to Chicago, the land, as some of us call it, of the Great Migration. Yeah, I'm Naomi Davis, and I usually introduce myself by saying I come from white gloves and mud, the proud granddaughter of Mississippi sharecroppers who, like 7 million others, voted with their feet and moved up south for freedom and economic opportunity. And in terms of economy, and we're here talking about circular economies, we had a very, very dead-end economy we were moving from. And some of us moved under color of night, chased by torches and dogs. Some of us moved by train, the IC coming down downtown, dropping off just in the South Loop, just minutes from here. Some of us moved in by mule. Some of us moved by foot. But the idea that we were moving for a better way of life that lived not just in prosperity, but in the way we can be in community. So I am here to share with you our theory of change called the Sustainable Square Mile. And when we talk about thriving communities, and when we talk about all that isn't working in the world today, we gotta understand there's so much brilliance, so much possibility, so much power in our ability to be happy together in community. And how does that work at Blacks in Green? Well, we're the authors and the teachers of the 8 principles of Green Village Building, the Sustainable Square Mile system, and the 12 propositions of Grannynomics. Grannynomics, and where does that come from? That comes from my very own grandmother, whose laws of the household, which ruled our transactions and guided our values, were from a little place in Mississippi, not so far from where Emmett Till was murdered in 1955, a place called Minter City. And the 12 propositions of Grannynomics laid down the roots, which are fundamental to our ability, as we call it today, to live in a circular economy. How did people who had the least come together and live in harmony? How did people who were oppressed on the daily develop a culture where everything they ate, they grew, everything they wore, they made? They thought that they were poor and discovered they were rich. That's what we're talking about as circularity. What are the measures for wealth? What do we mean when we say that you are able to live sustainably in a circular economy? Well, what you're looking at here is my walkable village, and we often ask at the front end of our courses, our seminars, our workshops, where is your village? Where's your village? And we say that, and we don't tell people how to answer. We say that because we want to hear how people are contextualizing themselves. What does it mean to be an earthling? What does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be, and you're from cities all around, what does it mean to be from your place? But specifically here in the age of climate crisis, where if you know what I know, you want to be near the people you love, you want to be strategic about your water sources, you want to be understanding how you can sustain yourself, your friends, your colleagues inside of a system that you can have some control over. So with the Sustainable Square Mile, and what you're looking at here is West Woodlawn, just a stone's throw from the Obama Presidential Center, the University of Chicago, but more importantly, a place that defined itself by how its heritage could keep it alive. So when people were coming by mule or by train or under cover of night, they were coming with a suitcase. And we used to do a show called The Suitcase. And what was in that suitcase? You open it, it was a family Bible, it was a shoebox full of fried chicken and biscuits and pound cake, but it was also those heirloom seeds. Those heirloom seeds. And how could we root ourselves in a new place and bring the traditions of the old place with us? And so the idea of Westwood Lawn, which is a Great Migration legacy community, gave us the opportunity to say, we're going to create a place where African Americans can once again walk to work, walk to shop, walk to learn, walk to play, where the rate at which neighbor-owned businesses were created and sustained could be accelerated, where we could build the capacity of neighbors to own, develop, and manage the property in their neighborhood, and where we could remember and reignite the conservation lifestyle. This lifestyle that I'm talking about, which is translated from the grannynomics of the 1920s to the imperative of the 2020s, where we've got to have households and homesteads that can produce their own energy, grow their own food, clean their own water, and recycle their own waste. And in our sustainable square mile of Westwood Lawn, and in communities around the country that are leaning in and listening and looking for opportunities to replicate the sustainable square mile right where they live, we are answering the call, and we're saying to you, what does it mean that a place can be governed by a few good neighbors who are coming together in harmony to create what you call here the circular economy? So we're looking at the intersection of deep culture and green neighborhood revival. The 8 principles of green village building are all about how a city can become a city of villages. And that means that we are looking at how we're generating and defining wealth. And the icons that you see on the screen here are icons that were selected with an idea of how to depict the 8 principles of green village building, which when you practice them in your walkable village, we say, and we're in the process of proving it now, that you will increase your household income via the new green economy, and you'll build an oasis of resilience against the harms of climate crisis. Again, right where you live. So you see a copy of local currency, the Berkshires. You see wave energy. One of the main civil rights movements of today, which we are actually tapping into and catalyzing, is energy affordability. Our second principle of green village building is each village produces and stores its own energy for light, heat, and transportation, and owns its means of production. And so the idea that we're making things like those beautiful quilts of G's Ben, we're growing our own food, we're remembering our heritage, we're creating hubs, green hubs in the hood. That little schoolhouse that you see is just so typical of how African Americans learned their way into freedom from the Deep South, and creating, once again, an oasis of resilience against the harms of climate crisis. So in our process, Black communities are financed to design, direct, represent, and benefit from economic development with success, again, measured by an increase in household income. Because as you are designing your circular systems, I want you to be thinking and solving for equity. I want you to be looking at what is going to help close the racial wealth gap as you're doing your work, because in the process of designing tomorrow, what we too frequently do is, as an afterthought and a footnote, figure out what the fix could be for African Americans. When in this world we are here to love each other, celebrate life, and create power from the God-given elements that we're endowed with, we want to say, think big, because we do. Thank you.